Alright, let's talk about the tools you need to take this course. For the starter, you need a code editor. There's so many code editors out there, like Visual Studio Code or VS Code, Sublime Text, Atom, and so on. In this course, I'm going to use VS Code along with a few extensions for starting a web server and formatting our code. You're welcome to use your favorite code editor if you know what you're doing, but otherwise, head over to code.visualstudio.com and download the latest version of VS Code. Now here inside VS Code, we're going to install a couple of extensions. So let's open the extensions panel and search for Prettier. Here's the extension we're going to install, Prettier Code Formatter. With this extension, we can format our code and make it pretty. This is a very popular extension. As you can see, it's been downloaded more than 9 million times. So over here, you're going to have an install button. Just click it and you're done. Next, we're going to install another extension called Live Server. With this, we can launch our website inside a development web server. Again, this is a very popular extension. It's been downloaded almost 8 million times. Now, in addition to these, you're going to use a browser to view and test our web pages. Again, you can use your favorite browser, but in this course, I'm going to use Google Chrome, and I encourage you to use the same browser so you can easily follow the course. We're going to start our web development journey here. In every section, you will learn something new about web development, and by the end of this course, you will put all of this together to build a beautiful web page. In this section, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of web development. You'll learn the languages and tools used in web development, as well as the key concepts and vocabulary such as URL, HTTP, DOM, and so on. We're also going to talk about how websites work, so you will understand what exactly happens under the hood when you use your browser to visit a website. You will also learn how to inspect network traffic using Chrome DevTools, which is a very powerful tool used by front-end developers. We'll also talk about the basics of HTML and CSS and validating web pages, which is something a lot of developers miss. It's going to be an awesome journey, so let's jump in and get started. This course is your first step towards becoming a web developer. So let me give you a simple roadmap to know where you are and where you should go next. Every website has two parts, a front end and a back end. The front end is the part that you see in your browser and interact with, all the visual aspects. The back end is the part that powers the front end. It's behind the scenes and it's mainly about storing data in databases and providing it to the front end. So web development jobs fall into three main categories: front-end development, back-end development, and full-stack development, which involves both front-end and back-end development. Front-end developers use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build front-ends. Back-end developers have different sets of tools available to them, which is outside the scope of this course. So let's talk about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is short for Hypertext Markup Language. I know it's a mouthful, but basically we use HTML to define the building blocks of our web pages. CSS is short for Cascading Style Sheet and is used for styling web pages and making them beautiful. JavaScript is used for adding functionality to web pages. Let me give you an analogy. Think of a building. A building in the real world is like a web page on the internet. It has a skeleton or structure. It can have pretty walls, windows, and tiles, and it can have certain functionality. For example, when we press the elevator button, it comes to pick us up. Here's a real example. Let's say we want to build a website like Twitter. For each tweet, we want to have a layout like this. So first we use HTML to define all the building blocks of this layout. What are these building blocks here? An image, some text indicating the user's Twitter handle, another block of text containing the message, and 3 icons for commenting, retweeting, and liking the tweet. We use HTML to add these building blocks to our web page. Then we use CSS to give it visual effects. For example, with CSS, we can make the font bold, we can make our image round, we can add some padding around here, we can change the color of these icons and define their look when we hover over them. So CSS is all about aesthetics or visual effects. With CSS, we can also create beautiful animations. Now, most web pages these days are interactive. They respond to our actions like clicks and scrolls. This is where JavaScript comes in. With JavaScript, we can add functionality or behavior to our web pages. For example, we can like a tweet. So JavaScript is a programming language, while HTML and CSS are not, meaning we cannot use them to tell computers what to do. We use them to define the building blocks of our web pages and style them. Every web page you have seen on the internet is built with these three languages. So the better you learn and understand these languages and their features, the better you will be at front-end development. So your front-end development journey starts with HTML and CSS. I would say if you spend 3 to 5 hours every day studying and coding, you should be able to have a reasonable understanding of these two languages in about a month or a month and a half. Once you learn these languages, then you need to learn JavaScript. I have a separate series for learning JavaScript. So after finishing this series, you may want to enroll in that series. I would say learning JavaScript would probably take another 6 weeks of your time. Of course, you're not going to be a JavaScript expert in just 6 weeks, but you will have a reasonable understanding of it, and you will learn more as you work on different projects. So the first 3 months is all about the fundamentals. Now, building websites often include a bunch of repetitive tasks. This is where front-end frameworks and libraries come in. A framework or a library comes with a lot of code that we can reuse in our websites. So they help us get the job done faster. That's why a lot of companies these days use one of these popular frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue. Now, technically, React is not a framework, it's a library. But subtle distinction aside, all these tools serve the same purpose. They help us build applications faster. Now, you don't need to learn all of these to get started. Different companies use different tools for different projects. So as you move from one project to another, you may want to learn about the other tools. If you're starting out, just focus on React because it's the most popular tool in this space. Once you learn React, you can always learn the other tools if needed. For React, you would probably need 1 to 2 months. Again, I have a comprehensive course on React. More than 40,000 people have taken this course and loved it. All right, what's the next step? Version control systems. We use a version control system to keep track of our project history and work collaboratively with others. There are many version control systems out there like Git, Subversion, Mercurial, and so on. But Git is the most popular tool in this space and is used in more than 70% of software companies. That's why you'll see it in almost every job description. I would say you would probably need 2 weeks for learning Git. And again, I have a comprehensive course for you. So these are the essential skills that every front-end developer must have. You'll see these listed on almost every job description. Now, different jobs require other skills, but these skills vary from one company to another. So you can learn these additional things in the future or on the job. For now, just focus on these 4 skills or 4 steps. Remember, less is more. Don't try to learn too many things quickly. You won't learn anything. You'll just waste